Hey YouTube, RicoKnows here. I'm going to continue my series of breaking down every single draft pick in the NFL draft, going alphabetical by city. So check the playlist here on YouTube. But I've already done a couple of teams, is what I'm saying. And now we're on Baltimore, right? So the Baltimore Ravens picking in this draft. In the first round, it gets to the end of the first round, you're looking at what they need. They needed an offensive lineman. They needed a corner. And they go and get Nate Wiggins first. Now, I was very surprised to see Nate Wiggins still on the board. This was my number 2 corner in the draft, coming out of Clemson. No, he doesn't intercept the ball a lot. Doesn't have a whole lot of production. But athleticism, off the charts. Looks great. So I really like the pick. I respect it. I'm so happy they didn't pick Cooper DeJean at this point. Cooper DeJean was available. Everybody was telling you he's great. I'm telling you there's limitations to his athleticism and his ceiling. No such thing with Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins is a player ready to line up, be competitive, and I feel like that was a great pick for them. Now, next, if you were watching the live stream, we were talking about who they should take next at the end of the second round, and I told everybody I think they should take Kingsley right here. Kingsley, offensive tackle, coming out of BYU. As a matter of fact, the Chiefs took Kingsley at the very next pick. But taking Roger Rosengartner, I believe he's a guard. I know he's a tackle. Watched him at Washington. The offense was great at Washington. And you can give all the credit in the world to all the offensive linemen. But when I watch tape, Roger Rosengartner is athletic. He's got a little bit shorter arms than you want for a tackle. And I think he's athletic enough to play guard. I think he can get the ball rolling. I like him. But he's definitely a good draft pick. This is not a bad play. You know, in the third round, because Roger went off the board here, in the third round, there was so many teams reaching on offensive linemen, and the Ravens weren't one of them. They beat everybody to the punch, got them at the end of the second round. Good stuff. And you know what? Some teams are regretting taking wide receivers in the second round and then having to take some very substandard linemen later in the third and fourth round. And no such thing happened for the Ravens. So they did that right, okay? Shout out to them. And in the third round, you get Adisa Isaac. This is an outside linebacker, 6'4", 250, played at Penn State. What I like about him is he does not have to leave the field on passing downs. He's athletic enough to drop into coverage. If you ever watch film on Penn State, he's number 20. He looks like a strong safety because he's wearing that number. It makes him look thinner. But he's really a linebacker. I mean, and he's a grown man. He can drop into coverage, come back, hold the edge, get the quarterback if he tries to extend the play. A running back in the flats is not going to be open. A screen pass, he's going to blow all that shit up. I love it. I think it's a great pick. I also think with the Ravens aging at linebacker, aging on the edge, losing Clowney to free agency, signing Van Noy, an older guy, like it just makes sense. It's a good fit. Not a bad draft pick. And I know it's kind of lazy taking a regional edge is what I'll say. And I say regional because you're in Baltimore. What teams are you going to go look at? Yeah, you probably see a lot of Penn State. This is why you see the Cowboys draft a lot of TCU guys or, anybody in the Texas area. If you pay attention to these teams, the way they draft regionally, for me, that felt like a regionally favorite pick, if you will. And it's okay. Now, Devontae Walker, they tell you he's got drops on tape. They tell you he's got some limitations here and there with concentration. But what Devontae Walker has is legitimate speed. 4th fastest guy at the combine, or 4th fastest wide receiver at the combine. Great player. Now, when I watched him on tape, he dominated in the MAC. Coming out of Kent State, most of the transfers from Kent State did not pan out, whether that be Colin Schlee, Marquez Cooper, Cephas at Penn State. Who's the other kid who went to Western Michigan or West Virginia? Polk, I think his name is. The whole point I'm trying to make is this is the one guy from that Kent State team that all transferred out 2 years ago that actually looks the part. So I hope they hit a home run here. What I'll also say is he's not much of a drop-off from some of those wide receivers that went in the second and third round. And this is why you can wait on drafting a wide receiver. You don't have to get them in the second and third round. You can get quality wide receivers in the 4th and 5th round, 100%. You can get guys that make your 53 and contribute, hands down, no problem. I want you guys to think about your fantasy drafts when you're drafting with your friends and there's a guy taking a quarterback in the first round. And you're going, bro, I can get Dak Prescott in the 9th round. What are you doing? There's not a huge drop-off here, right? I don't know why you're drafting like this. Now, for whatever reason, during the draft, the Ravens decided to go take a bathroom break. And they left auto pick on. and they took the highest rated player available in TJ Tampa. ESPN tried to convince you TJ Tampa's a second-round draft pick, a top 50 player, all this stuff. Best available player, TJ Tampa, number 43. Over and over and over. And everybody in the live chat just kept spamming me. Rico, why is TJ Tampa falling? He's not falling. ESPN doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. It's a good player. I like him. I turn on the tape. Cooper at Iowa State. Cooper, the safety, pops way more on tape. Jeremiah Cooper. That guy is something else. I see this. TJ Tampa's good. I like him. He was on my favorites. Remember my draft chart before the draft? But look, when he's on my favorites like that, let me pull this up. Let me see if I can show you guys this. When somebody's on my favorites and they're fifth, like TJ Tampa is, you see him right there below Beanie Bishop, that means I don't think he should be drafted before any of these players ahead of him. He wasn't on my top 10. He's just the guy I cheered for. So when ESPN tried to tell the world this is a top 40, 50 player, I started looking around the room going, no, he's not. I like him. Rico, why is he dropping in the draft? He's not dropping in the draft. ESPN rankings put him in the wrong spot. The NFL teams do not listen to ESPN. They listen to me. They say, man, we're not doing this. We're going to draft him at the end of the 4th round. What a great pick as far as value goes. I hope he makes the team. I hope he contributes. Now, they're still in the bathroom, bro. The whole Ravens scout department is still in the bathroom. They left auto pick on, and Rasheen Ali comes up. They must have made their pre-draft list, their priority list, before the Senior Bowl. 2021, Rasheen Ali, 20-something touchdowns. One of the best running backs in America. Then he gets injured in 2022, doesn't play at all. 2023 last year, played pretty decent for Marshall. Not bad. One of the leading runners, a guy I gave high praise to. Shout out to the MVPs. They know this. We always believed in his over prop yards and everything. But when he went to the Senior Bowl, he ruptured his biceps, and then he didn't take part in the combine. He was injured. He was done. And at that point, I said, oh, man, he's not draftable. He's injury prone. You can't draft this guy, and he's a good running back, but you can't draft this guy. The Ravens left on their auto draft and drafted him. When did they make their list of draft picks that they wanted? Like, I look at this and I go, wow, the Ravens identified their draft picks back in 2021 and just said, the hell with it. I don't care how they play. I don't care how they do for the next 2 years. They're still our draft picks. I kid you not. That's what they did. That's the only way to explain this. Because you didn't have to draft Rasheen Ali. No one else was going to draft him. You could have got him as an undrafted free agent. And the Ravens have been known to find good players in undrafted free agent. Remember, they found Keaton Mitchell last year. And I was telling you guys, Keaton Mitchell's my number 5 running back in the whole draft. Maybe my number 7. Right? I was telling you Keaton Mitchell is him. And I didn't care that NFL teams didn't draft him. Look at this. 2023. Keaton Mitchell, my second favorite running back. And right behind Jahmyr Gibbs, and didn't get drafted. And I said, man, you guys don't want to draft Keaton Mitchell? And the Ravens get high praise for finding Keaton Mitchell after the draft. But remember, when a team signs a player after the draft, that means they passed on that player 7 times, at a minimum, usually. I'm not impressed. You don't know how to draft. You blew it. Unless you keep all your draft picks and they all make your final 53 and that final undrafted free agent makes your 53, then I'll give you high praise. Shout out to scouting departments and general managers in the NFL. All you guys need one of me. All you NFL teams, you need me because you're blowing it. And you can go back and watch all my assessments last year. The playlists are still there. I missed on about 25 guys. That's 90% hit rate if you're doing the math. Just so you know. So Rasheen Ali, great running back, used to be before the injuries. This seems like a terrible draft pick in the 5th round. There was other running backs still on the board available. Guys who are healthy, guys who can contribute now, make your team. This is a bad look. You didn't need to draft them. No one was going to take them. That's real. Now, 6th round. Auto draft is still on. Devin Leary's right there. Devin Leary 2 years ago, back when Rasheen Ali was dominating at Marshall and crushing the Sun Belt, Devin Leary was dominated in NC State and had an all-time great year. I think it was 35 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, something like that. It was a great year. And then he never played like that again. It's been 2 years since then. His completion percentage has gone down. They blamed offensive coordinators. He's transferred. He went from NC State to Kentucky. Never showed me anything. And I don't think he emulates your starter very well. I don't think he brings anything to the table when it comes to practice. I don't think he can emulate a scout defense. I don't think anything. I just think it's a terrible pick. No one was going to draft Devin Leary. You didn't have to draft him. Nope, another free agent. And so that's the auto draft. They had the 2021 priority list auto draft. Have you guys ever seen those lists right now? Like, there's a list right now. It's all over Twitter, I'm sure. It'll say top wide receivers for 2025 NFL draft. You'll see it. Top wide receivers for the 2025 NFL draft. The problem with those lists is they don't take into account how you perform in your final year. They don't even care. They've already identified the top 10 guys for the draft next year. They don't even care how they play. They have no clue how they're going to play. They don't even know if they get injured. The list exists. NFL scouts have predetermined who these players are before their final season of production, before we see how they actually perform. They had already identified Devin Leary as one of the top quarterbacks, Rasheen Ali, one of the best running backs. Did not care how they performed. That's wild. And that's why those guys all get fired. That's why 5 years from now, every one of these professional scouts will be unemployed. They'll have a Twitter that says once an NFL scout, and I'll still be over here batting 1,000. That's real talk. So they finally got back from the bathroom, turned off the auto draft, and then they take Nick Samick, starting center from Michigan State for the last 3 years. Good player. I think he can maybe make the team. Good player. Good to get him late. Maybe a practice squad candidate. We can always use an extra center. That's no problem. So I like that pick. And then Sanusi Kane, the safety from Purdue. When you watch tape, I watched a lot of Purdue tape. Dylan Thieneman is the best player on that defense, true freshman, led them in tackles, led them in interceptions. Dylan Thieneman, I made videos on him on TikTok. I think the world of certain Purdue players. Kane doesn't pop on tape for me. Nope. I had P.J. Jules as one of the very best, and P.J. Jules has so much more upside. 6'3", 200-something pounds, defensive back out of Southern Illinois, nobody's talking about. You see it down here. Let me go back to 2024. If you look at my safeties, you see P.J. Jules down here? This guy right here, it just signed with the Bengals on an undrafted free agent. You can't let somebody in your division, in your side of the street, in the AFC, you can't let them get somebody like P.J. Jules while you're out here drafting guys that nobody's fighting for. Drafting a guy like Kane who makes tackles against the run. He's strong against the run. Congratulations. All in all, I thought the Ravens were pretty bad after the fourth round. I thought a lot of their picks left a lot to be desired. You win drafts in the first 3 rounds. They did that. They did well. But it just, no rhyme or reason to it, buddy. It's that guy in your fantasy draft, and he keeps losing connections, so he keeps getting auto-drafted. Just random dudes getting auto-drafted. And you're like, man, what the hell just happened? That's what the Ravens are, an auto-draft that went bad. It's not the end of the world, but you were there for the first 3 rounds, then you had connection problems the rest of the way. And you didn't need none of this shit. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Good luck, y'all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.